just did. Just seconds before. Okay, and whenever you are ready to start noodling, we welcome up our choir to sing our introit. Come on, choir.
Joel's not here, so nobody knows when
I
to
know.
come out.
Yeah.
Oh, something on this? It feels so crowded.
I know.
Spirit of life, come.
Thank you, choir. Our Arnie Sutherland family is up ready to ring our bell to bring us into worship.
Welcome to our beloved sanctuary, as well to our digital sanctuary on Zoom. My name's Ellie Jarrell, and it's nice to see all of you on this raw day. Many thanks to Meredith St. John, who's our camera person today, and Tom Keidel, who's our Zoom usher. Those of you who are here in person, we ask that you keep your masks on at all times while indoors, though worship leaders may take theirs off the mic. Feel free to use the QR codes at either entrance to pull up the order of service on your phone or take one of the large print copies. People of all ages are welcome to move about in the sanctuary as they need to, and coloring sheets are available at either entryway. Children's programming for elementary school-age kids will begin today after our time for all ages. Our child care provider, Shannon, is available to accompany nursery-age children to our nursery room in the parish hall at any time. As we begin our service today, we acknowledge that our church was built on the ancestral, unceded land of the Massachusetts people. We acknowledge the devastating legacy of settler colonialism and the continuing harm done to Indigenous groups in our community and beyond. May our commitment to justice, equity, and compassion call us to take meaningful, restorative action to honor and protect the land and all her people. We invite all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs and doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. At the close of today's service, we'll have a time for sharing joys and concerns in community. If you're new to Theodore Parker Church or are visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You're invited to fill out a connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us welcome you. A link to the connection card will be in the chat, as well as our contact info. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill out a contact form you'll find in your pews within the bright yellow pamphlet. We'd like to offer a moment for those joining us remotely to greet those who are joining us in person. So Meredith, could you please put our sanctuary screen in gallery view so we can see our offstage congregation. Folks joining us on Zoom, we can see you in the sanctuary now, so give us a wave if you'd like. And folks in the sanctuary, the camera's behind you, right under the clock. Just below, below the clock. So let's give a big wave and hello to the folks joining us remotely.
Remote folks, I promise we're waving. You just can't see us right now.
Wonderful, it's good to be together. We hope that each of you will find some comfort to carry you over the week and some challenge for your thoughts. As always, we wish for each of you health, well-being, and a sense of peace. As our pianist Yukiko Takagi brings us into worship with Frédéric Chopin's Prelude in B minor, we bid you welcome.
Beautiful. Thank you, Yukiko. Good morning and happy Lunar New Year to you all. May we all have a joyous and prosperous year of the rabbit. It'll be an auspicious year for Sully, who loves chasing rabbits. Today, as we continue exploring January's theme of finding our center, I share these words from Reverend Sean Neil Barron about finding a center in our own bodies. Your body is welcome here. Yes, even that part, and yes, even that part. The parts that you love and the parts that you don't. For in this place we come with all that we are, all that we have been, and all that we are going to be. Our bodies are constantly changing. Cells die and are reborn. We respond to infections and disease, and sometimes we can divorce them from our bodies, and other times they become permanently a part of us. Your body and all that is within it, both wanted and unwanted, has a place here. Our bodies join in a web of co-creation, created and creating, constantly changing us. Scarred and tattooed, tense and relaxed, diseased and cured, unfamiliar and intimate, formed in infinite diversity of creation. Your body is welcome here, all of it. So take a moment to welcome it. Take a moment to feel in it. Take a moment to be in it. And let us be together in this worshipful morning. Invite us to sing a hymn of welcome to all that we are and all those who have dreamed us into being. We're going to be singing hymn number 1051 in the Teal hymnals, We Are. It was written by Dr. Issei Barnwell, who's a professor, an author, and composer, and a longtime member of the group Sweet Honey in the Rock. She's also part of our All Souls DC UU congregation. Invite us to rise in body and rise in spirit to sing it. If you're following along with the sheet music in the order in the hymnals, you'll know each section repeats, but you should be able to also just follow along with the slides. So let's sing together.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers and courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We are sisters of mercy and brothers of love. Lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises, sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Beautiful. You may have a seat. I welcome up Cindy Bergeron and Brian Cartwright, who will help us light our chalice. Each week, we light our flaming chalice with words of covenant, words of shared commitment. We say these words together first in English and then in their Spanish translation in honor of our sister community in Plazuelas, El Salvador. The words will be up on your screen. We invite you to join in with us. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. Thank you. And I'll say, if you are ever someone who would like to say those words some Sunday or would like to light our chalice, those of you of any age, please let me or Rose know. And Rose has a story for us this morning.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here this morning. So I have a particularly special story for you all, or at least it's one of my favorites. It's called On the Night You Were Born by Nancy Tillman. I'm going to be reading it, and the pictures will be up on the screen here. And then after I read the story, any kids who are here today, join me down there, and we'll go through to the parish hall for Children's Chapel. So I have an invitation for you all, especially those of you who are maybe a little older, listening to this story. I think it's easy when we hear children's stories, if we're not kids ourselves, to first imagine ourselves reading the story to the children in our lives, that's where the direction, the message goes in. But this morning, I would like to invite you to feel this story being read to you, to allow yourself to receive the blessing of celebrating the night that you, specifically you, were born. On the night you were born. On the night you were born, the moon smiled with such wonder that the stars peeked in to see you, and the night wind whispered, "Life will never be the same, because there has never been anyone like you, ever in the world." So enchanted with you were the wind and the rain that they whispered the sound of your name. It sailed through the farmland, high on the breeze, over the ocean, and through the trees, until everyone heard it, and everyone knew of the one and only ever you. Not once had there been such eyes, such a nose, such wiggly, silly, wiggly, wonderful toes. When the polar bears heard, they danced until dawn. From faraway places, the geese flew home. The moon stayed up until morning next day. And none of the ladybugs flew away. So whenever you doubt just how special you are and you wonder who loves you, how much and how far, listen for geese honking high in the sky. They're singing a song to remember you by. Or notice the bears asleep at the zoo. They've been up all night dancing for you. And if you fall asleep to the sound of the wind, listen, it's whispering your name again. When the moon stays up until morning one day, or a ladybug lands and decides to stay, or a little bird sits at your window a while, it's because they're all hoping to see you smile. For never before, in a story or rhyme, not even once upon a time, has the world known you, my friend, and it will not ever again. Heaven blew every trumpet and played every horn on the wonderful, marvelous night you were born. Thank you all. I'll invite Michael to lead us in our children's benediction, and any kids who want to come to Children's Chapel, join me by the door. We're going to be talking about inner light and celebrating what's wondrous about each of us this morning.
For you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be.
Beautiful. Thank you. We center our hearts with Libby Roderick's hymn, How Could Anyone? And so beautiful on the heels of such a blessing of a story. And if you need this song sung to you this morning, know that we are singing it to you. If you need to sing this song to somebody else in your heart and mind, go for that this morning. I invite you to rise in body, rise in spirit as we sing How Could Anyone? It's number 1053 in your Teal hymnal.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
You may be seated. I invite you to join me in a time of meditation and prayer, first in words, then in about a minute of shared silence, and then in music. Our meditation is from Tim Haley. Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit in silence, to give thanks for another day, to give thanks for all those in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, to give thanks for the gift of life. We know that we are on our pilgrimage here for but a brief moment in time. Let us open ourselves here, now, to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth. Let us be together in shared silence.
Generosity is a spiritual practice in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. We give to remind ourselves of how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with gratitude for all that we have been given, and with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat, or you can take a meditative moment writing out a check and sending it to the church after the service. Ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering from those in the pews who wish to donate something more tangible. As Yukiko shares Chopin's Prelude in A Major, an offering to sustain this congregation of memory and hope will be gratefully received. Thank you. This is a reading called Song of the Universe by Manish K. Mishra Marzetti. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Listen carefully. Can you still hear the song? The one sung for you when you were born? The song sung by a cosmos in motion, rejoicing at your life. You, the result. You, the outcome. You, the celebration. Listen carefully. Can you still hear it? A song of possibility. A reminder that we still have time to be who and what we need to be. Listen carefully. The vast expanse echoes a recognition that it's not always easy. Possibilities can be hard to pursue. Roads not taken, wrong turns, destinations that disappoint. Through this, the song persists. The universe sings no less because time and space wear us thin. The music calls us to recognize our limitations, to recognize that the song is best sung with others. Here in community, bringing alive that most primordial and original impulse, the desire to sing to the universe, who we are, to celebrate and share our lives with others.
Every now and then, I like to open up a book to a random page and seek meaning in whatever words the book opens to. I suspect that for me, this practice started during very long services in synagogue, like maybe hour 2 or 3, where I'd flip restlessly to the readings in the back of the prayer book or in the Bible in the seats. This practice of reading from a random page started when I'd lost interest in whatever was going on in the service and was looking for something to keep me entertained. But eventually, it evolved into a ritual with spiritual significance. Each time I would open the book to some page, and that was my text for the day. I approached whatever poem or story I landed on with the questions, what is this here to teach me? What is here for me to learn? It wasn't until seminary that I learned that there's a similar practice from Christianity called Lectio Divina, which I know many of you are familiar with here. It means divine reading. It became a fun challenge when I read an especially difficult or bizarre text. Many a time when you open a Bible, you get a list of, and so-and-so begat so-and-so, who begat so-and-so, or you get discussions of how to diagnose leprosy. It's a real gamble. A few years ago, I was getting ready for a move, and I was packing, and I came back to this practice. And I was honestly seeking spiritual guidance, but also avoiding packing the books. I picked a book off of the shelf, and as I brought it toward the cardboard box to pack it, I opened it up to a page somewhere in the middle. The book was a Tanakh, a Hebrew-English Bible, and the book fell open to Psalms. I read words from Psalm 139. God, you have examined me and know me. When I sit down or stand up, you know it. You discern my thoughts from afar. You observe my walking and reclining and are familiar with all of my ways. There is not a word on my tongue but that you, God, know it well. You support me before and behind. You lay your hand upon me. It is beyond my knowledge. It is a mystery I cannot fathom. Where can I escape from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I descend to the pit, you are there too. If I take wing with the dawn and come to rest on the western horizon, even there your hand will be guiding me. Your right hand will be holding me fast. It was you who created my conscience. You fashioned me in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am awesomely, wondrously made. Your work is wonderful. I know it very well. That line, I praise you, for I am awesomely, wondrously made. Your work is wonderful. I know it well. What is this here to teach me? What am I here to learn? I noticed that when I read those words sitting in front of that cardboard box, I paused in my reading and sighed. Do I actually know that I am awesomely, wondrously made? Not most days. I've lived with chronic illnesses and disabilities for most of my life. And day to day, I tend to focus on my limitations, on finding ways to work around them to do the things that I want to do. But this bumps up against my theology and my understanding of what we're here for. I believe that we're each here to uniquely contribute to the world, to give the gift that only we can give. But the way that I tell my story in my own head, I offer things to the world despite my physical limitations, or I find ways to answer my calling despite. But if I am awesomely, wondrously made, that would mean then that my body was awesomely, wondrously made, disabilities and all. What if the thing that we are here to contribute is not despite our limitations, but because of them? I think of this visual artist, this painter that I like, named Vered Otmi. Vered is an Israeli artist who paints these grand and intricate patterns that always catch my eye. There are interwoven vines, yeah, that's her work there, filigree, and I'm stunned every time I see them. I learned that at one point, Vered had been treated for breast cancer. As a part of her recovery after a mastectomy, her occupational therapist encouraged her to start painting again, but painting with both hands as a way of building strength back up after surgery. The results are these incredible symmetrical patterns that have become her signature style. She now especially hires folks who have lived with cancer to work in her studio. This thing that could have been a burden that she worked around or waited out until life got back to normal, whatever that is, or a thing that could have gotten her to stop making art altogether, instead, she let it teach her. She let her illness and her recovering body shape the art that she made, making not only some of the most stunning artwork I've seen, but building community around it for folks going through what she'd been through. Another story. Temple Grandin was born in 1947 and barely spoke a word until she was 4 years old. She was autistic. Temple would fixate and obsess over things, had trouble recognizing others' emotional states, and would get set off into panic attacks that the rest of the world had trouble understanding. But what she also had was an incredible visual mind. She thinks in pictures rather than words. You may have seen an opinion essay she published this week in the New York Times about visual thinkers. I encourage you to look it up. This is her. As a teenager in the 1960s, Temple stayed with her aunt on a cattle farm. While watching the ranchers herd up some agitated cows to give them inoculations, she noticed that the cows calmed down when they were put into something called a squeeze chute. It's a metal contraption that closed its sides around the cow to help hold it in place. Temple reasoned that the pressure surrounding the animals helped calm their overstimulated nerves. During a panic attack of her own, Temple ran to the squeeze chute and put herself inside it. And with the walls closed snugly around her, her agitation and anxiety began to ease, and she found calm. She ended up building a version of this, which she called a hug machine, for herself as a support system, which she used throughout college and graduate school. And it's a design that's still used to help people with sensory processing problems. Because of Temple's visual memory and incredible detail recall, she was able to reimagine how handlers could work with cows in a more humane way. And people thought she was crazy. She herself had experienced firsthand anxiety and feeling threatened by everything in her surroundings, which gave her a special kind of empathy for these cows. It led her to become one of the first scientists to report that animals are sensitive to visual distractions in their handling situations, in their handling facilities, such as shadows or dangling chains or waving flags, details that many neurotypical folks wouldn't notice. She studied the cows' behavior and the way they reacted to the world around them, and built adaptive curved corrals to reduce the animal's stress, panic, and injury. Her groundbreaking humane interventions are now used by a majority of the cattle handlers in North America. She's become a world-renowned professor and lecturer on both autism and animal handling. In her 2010 TED Talk, Temple reflected that in a normal human mind, language covers up the visual thinking that we share with animals. But the world, she says, needs all kinds of minds. I look at these examples, I look at Vered, at Temple, and I think about this concept from the Kabbalah. There's a teaching in Jewish mysticism that before they're born, the souls of children choose their parents. They choose this moment in time, this family, this body to be born into, because there is something that this soul needs to learn from this particular life, or something that the world needs from this particular soul. I don't know if I believe that my soul chose this, nor do I know if I believe in a God who fashioned me before I was born and supports me wherever I go, like the psalmist says. But I don't think it actually matters if I believe it, or if you believe it. If I try it on, or if we try it on, if our souls did choose this body because there was something for us to learn, what might it be? If we are alive in this moment in time, in this place, what might the world need from us? So I invite you to try it on with me for a moment. Pick some limitation that you've felt has been holding you back. Maybe something that happened in your life, or something else that you might say constrains you. And we'll just sit with it for a moment. Acknowledge the courage it takes to look at it. What is this here to teach me? What is here for me to learn? What if your life's work and purpose were not despite that limitation, but because of it? Part of the unique contribution that you are here to make. What if you, your body, the way that your mind works, the way that your heart loves, were not a mistake or an accident? What if you were awesomely, wondrously made? And if that were true, what is the next thing for you to do? Let's do it together. Amen. Finally, I invite us to give thanks in song for all of these things that are part of our lives, the needs which others serve, the services we give. We'll sing hymn 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. I invite you to rise in body or rise in spirit as we sing. that's a different hymn.
128.
128. That's also a good one, though. I'm trying to remember which one that is. The blooming earth. Yeah, that one. Here it is.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hearts attack, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'm so tempted to I think I'm going to find out which hymn that was that Yukiko started playing and think of that as our text for today that came to us for some reason. Let's find out what that was. I want to share a few announcements and invitation to stay connected to the life of this community beyond our Sunday morning services. Right after the service, there's a whole lot that's happening. We'll share our joys and concerns after our post-salute here. All will be welcome. Those in-house and off-site will be welcome to share. And then we'll have a coffee hour for those who are here in the sanctuary. We invite you to go on over to the parish hall. And our thanks to our coffee hour hosts, Posey Walton and Pat Hamilton, for today, as well as to those who are our greeters today, Mary Beth Noonan, John Lambert, and Deanna Wong. It's a great way to serve this community as a one-off deal or every now and then. Please, we encourage you to talk to Cindy or Pat if you would be willing to help with either of those things in coming weeks. And following that, probably at about noon, those who are interested in being a part of the Starting Point group, this is our gathering for those who are newer to Theodore Parker Church, newer to Unitarian Universalism, or not, and just looking to refresh your connection to this community to gather. Today we'll be talking about the spiritual practices that connect us one to another, starting with deep listening. So we'll gather in the parlor from 12 to 1:30. All are welcome, even if you didn't go to the first two gatherings. And finally, those who were here last week or saw the Caring Ministry announcement heard about the sudden passing of Dan Bancroft, who was a member here in his own right, in addition to being the spouse of the former minister, Anne Bancroft. We've learned there will be a small gathering in York, Maine for him, as well as a larger gathering here in Newton. That gathering will be on February 11th, I believe at 2 o'clock. There will be, I think there was a Caring Ministry announcement that went out just this morning. I've checked in with Reverend Ann. We would both love it for those who want to come from Theodore Parker Church to come to that Newton gathering to share. There may be opportunities to help volunteer as well with our Newton congregation to host this celebration of life. We'll share more details as we have them, but I just wanted to let you know that there will be a time and a space where we can gather with other congregants, other friends and family of the Bancroft clan to support Anne as well as to remember Dan. I believe that's all of our announcements for the moment, although I encourage you to check out our newsletter each week for lots of ways to stay connected. I close with words that are attributed to and adapted from the Universalist minister, John Murray. Go out into the highways and byways and give the people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light only, but uncover it and let it shine. Use it to build more understanding in the hearts and mind of all humanity. Give them and yourself not hell, but hope and courage. Spread the kindness and the everlasting love of God. So may it be, and amen. Thank you, Yukiko. Whenever we gather, we know that among us there are those who